Hello everyone. Just got a little warning, so I'm coming in. Here I am. Hello. Welcome to another Garden City Harvest quick training video for how to work with local food in your kitchen. This Wednesday, today, is the kickoff for the Greens Challenge, which I'm super excited to do with you all because I'm in a little bit of a slump at the beginning of the season already, and I'm overcoming some of my fears and just busyness, I think, is the biggest thing. I'm Genevieve, by the way. I'm the Community Outreach Director here at Garden City Harvest, and one of your guides for the season. And we'll have a few other people stopping by throughout the Greens Challenge to join in the training fun. Feel free to ask questions as you watch or afterwards in the comments if you have anything come up for you while you're watching. Okay, Greens Prep. This is all about, when you come home with this huge haul and you're so excited, hopefully you have a few minutes to just sort some things out and do a little washing and prepping of your greens for the week. This is one of the things that can make this so much easier for you for the rest of the week. It will pay off. And you don't have to do it right when you come home. If you don't have time then, and you have a quiet, maybe you pick up on Monday and Tuesday evening's a little quieter, or maybe you pick up on Thursday and you have the weekend. Whatever it is, just find a quiet moment where you can do a little bit. Sometimes for me it's actually not when I come home from the CSA, but actually that night when I'm actually cooking and I maybe have something in the oven and I have some time to chop some things up or wash some things, chop some, get it all prepped up. So it doesn't have to be, but if you can when you come home and you have a few moments, then this is a great thing. So what is it? We talked last time a little bit about how just sticking your greens in a bag in a drawer is basic number one thing to do to keep them from going bad. If you want to take it up to, and also, separating the radish or the beet or whatever it is, the carrot, from its greens, so you can keep using these greens. I'm going to put them in a bucket so they can start getting washed up for what we're going to do next. If you want to take it to the next level, I'm just peeking at my notes over here, that's why I keep looking down. Wash it. These are dirty vegetables. They came out of our fields just today or the day before, or maybe not, the day before harvest, or that day of, the day of pickup or the day before the pickup. They got pulled out of the ground in some fashion. We wash them a little bit, but it's always good to wash them again. I'm going to start with this nice romaine lettuce that definitely still has some dirt in the bottom. You can bag this and it keeps as a head for 2 or 3 weeks often. Especially the hardier lettuces like romaine, which is what we have here. The leafy lettuce, the curlier leaved lettuces, those don't keep as long. But you chop that end off, so you've got the nice clean chop. And then I like to plunge this. Sometimes I'll use a colander, sometimes I'll plunge it in a sink full of water, whatever your method, and just give it a good rub down. Sometimes using that spray setting, if you have on your kitchen faucet, is a great way, and really get all that dirt. Now you can leave, a little bit left to save for later, or you can. I'm going to just take them all apart. Make sure there's nothing hiding in there. Get them washed. Now the next important thing is to get them somewhat dry. So my most recent technique that I really like, some people use a salad spinner. That's an awesome technique. That gets just the right amount of dry. So what I'm doing right here, though, is taking the leaves and laying them out on this nice dish towel. You could use a clean rag. You could use paper towels. I like dish towels because you can reuse them and wash them, and this is really not a very dirty process. So I just lay out these guys, the dirt, on this dish towel. And then I'm going to put another one out on top and lay the rest. And this makes it not only sort of keep these veggies moist, but it also makes it easy to roll them up. And you can just stick them in a bag, stick that whole dish towel roll in a bag, and you can just unroll it. See how easy that is to just unroll and grab lettuce out as you need it. This is a great way to prep veggies if you're going to do something at lunch, like use it as a lettuce wrap, or those great lettuce cups that you can get at a lot of restaurants now. They'll do sort of an Asian flared lettuce cup with some ground pork or beef and some Asian seasonings. This is a great little lettuce cup. They're very hearty. They're great just to put some cold cuts in. We're going to cover that tomorrow, actually, because we're talking about lunch. So keep this in mind. But this is a great way to just get nice leafed lettuce ready to go, ready to prep. So just stick that in a bag, and you're good to go. Boom. Some people would say seal it. I don't usually do that just because I feel like then it gets a little bit too soggy. All right. So now over here I have a bowl of water. This is like my fake sink, right? And I have some, let me check my notes to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Make sure that the key about the towel is you don't want it to be wet. You don't want your veggies to get soggy. So make sure the towel doesn't get ever too wet. It needs to be a little bit damp. Yes. Yeah, and I will just say again, the whole heads definitely last longer, so this is definitely, if you're going to use it within like a week, maybe a little bit longer. Romaine is pretty tough. Today's challenge is to make a mix of your favorite greens, and the greens that we're serving right now that are great are things like tatsoi, that looks like a little miniature version of the bok choy. It's another Asian green. This is a big bok choy. Those are great. They're very mild. Mustards, those are a little spicy. They have like a little bit of wasabi spice. So I like to chop them up really finely and maybe skip them if I'm making dinner for kids. Let's see. Pak choy is actually it's bok choy. Same thing. So if you see that on your list, that's bok choy. That's what you would want to Google. And it's B-O-K, not B-O-C. There's actually a lot of misspellings of bok choy, but Google will help you there. Romaine is always great, all those leafy lettuces, and then spinach, of course. But I often just use spinach cooked in eggs. That stuff goes fast, goes in smoothies. But spinach is great. So right now I have a few samples. I have some radish greens. That's another great one that I'm going to put in my mix. I've got a little romaine. I've got a little bit of spicy mustard, some spinach, and we're going to chop all of this up. And I'm also going to put a radish in there, so I'm going to stick that in my sink. And I'm going to peek because it looks like there might be some comments. I just want to check. No, it just looks like we have some watchers. Hi, Jordan and Lenore, I think is how you pronounce that name, and Everett. Everett is watching, and he's a new CSA member. So we're going to chop these up, and chop them however you like your salads. I like mine kind of ribbony, so I chop them into, kind of ribbons like that. Hopefully you can see that. And, one thing that I really love is having a good knife. It's so important in the kitchen, and just keeping it sharp. Having a little sharpener, they're cheap and easy to grab. So I'm going to grab another nice fresh bag, and as long as it's clean, it doesn't matter. I actually have this one I could have used too. And I'm not promoting Udis. I know I have a lot of them. I have a gluten allergy, so I keep it pretty gluten friendly or gluten unfriendly at home. And then I'm going to throw a little radish in there for fun, because I think a lot of the CSAs are starting to get radishes in. You can slice them, you can dice them. I'm going to dice this one. The last mix I sliced. You can shred, and another great thing that I love to put in this mix would be beet greens. But I would keep them in a separate container because they will dye the rest of your stuff in. And I'm just going to kind of chop it all up. Okay, so now we've got some great greens and we've got some radishes. And we've got the base for a salad. I can take this to work with me. I would probably chop up more if I was at home, but you guys don't want to watch me chop all that. Although you can chop that whole wrapped, just chop the whole romaine head all at once. But this is gold. This is like a salad or two worth of lunch. Last night I did this. I had done this earlier in the week, and I grabbed this out of the fridge last night, and my whole family had salad for dinner, and I had it ready in like 15 minutes. So it's a great resource. And then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about chopping it every time you make a salad. If you're in a hurry, there it is, ready and prepped, ready to go. So that is today's challenge. Make yourself a little gift bag of these a nice little base for your salad, and enjoy it all week long. I promise you will be high-fiving yourself. Okay, what else? Let's see. I will note this does reduce, just like prepping the romaine. It takes it down a notch when we're talking about how long it'll last in your fridge. But I'm guessing you're going to use that really fast. So within a week, you might do this once. You might do it twice. It'll last definitely 3 to 4 days. It might last 5 or 6 or 7. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was prepping cooked greens. That's pak choy, bok choy, tatsoi. A lot of these things you can eat raw or cooked. Mustard greens, the beet greens, of course, kale, spinach, radish greens. And there's some fun, if you go on that Pinterest page that I shared in your email, that has some great radish green recipes. I haven't cooked a ton with radish greens, and I'm excited to try that. Bok choy is a classic stir-fry green, and I'm going to pull that. I have a head of that was just soaking, then that's pretty much ready to go. It's one that you want to, if you're going to cook it, you want to cut it, you want to chop the white part and the green part separately, because the green part, it's kind of like a collard green texture. It's a little thicker, kale maybe. But it has a shorter cooking time than this bottom part that's a little more like celery. So you want to keep those separate. Let's see. So you want to wash them, dry them. I've already done this, but you cut them from the bottom to cut that bottom off, just like I did with the romaine. And then, you chop them separately. You can also do this with onions. You could do this if you have celery on hand. You can do this all season long with garlic, and a lot of those root vegetables, celery. If you know what you're going to make already for the week, this is, you know how to chop it. And garlic, you almost always mince it, right? So you almost always chop onions fine to medium. You can just do that, and if you do it on the large side, and then if you need to chop it a little smaller, that's quick. So see, I've chopped the nice bottoms, and I would store those separately from these greens on the top. And I'm again just ribboning them. I might cut them down the middle if I want them a little bit smaller. Some people take them and just take several of them. This is great with collard greens too. And just roll them up in a little cigar roll and use that as a way to chop. That's another great way. So you got them all chopped. So you have your greens ready to go. Now if you want to really go crazy, you could blanch these greens. You could do them whole or chopped. You could blanch them. Blanching means you have a boil of boiling water. You want it to come to a boil before you start. You throw this thing in there, these guys in there whole. And then you drain it. Needs to wait about a minute, a little bit longer for the thicker greens like kale, maybe chard, but like a minute if you're doing spinach. But any of those cooked greens you can blanch. You blanch them in the water, and then you remove them. Throw them in an ice bath, so a big bowl of water with lots of ice. So you stop it cooking right away, so you don't overcook the veggies. And then you can either put them in the fridge, and they're so close to being fully cooked that you just have to add a little sauce and maybe chop them, maybe not. All of these greens are great with Asian spices, so like a little ginger, a little what is it called? The soy sauce, or the one that starts with T that I'm forgetting, not tamarind. Anyway, you know what I mean. But a lot of those Asian spices, Asian sauces are awesome with this. Again, Google is your friend here. And so is that Pinterest page. There's some great recipes for bok choy there that are sort of Asian themed. And for mustard greens and tatsoi. You want to cook these guys and blanch them, and then you could also, bonus, if you're feeling overwhelmed with greens and you need an exit, you're coming to the end of your week, you're going to pick up more tomorrow, and you just haven't used them all, that's fine. Just blanch them, boiling water, ice bath, freezer bag. You seal them in the freezer bag, you date it, you put what's in there, and you put them in the fridge. And ideally you have a running list of freezer. And if you have a running list of what's in your freezer, so in the middle of winter you remember that you have the bok choy or the kale that you blanched in that freezer, and you can grab it out and you'll be thinking, it's like another high five for the bok choy or kale that you put up in the middle or beginning of the season. Because you're going to be missing it. You're going to be missing these greens, believe it or not, when it comes to January and the snow is flying. So that is exit strategies we will be talking about more throughout the season, but those are great ways to just, if you're feeling like you can't quite finish off your greens or whatever it is that you have in your CSA share, you can then put them in the freezer and use them later. Blanching is really important for greens. You don't have to do it for every vegetable, but for greens it's critical because it just sort of keeps them sweet and fresh tasting when you get them out of the freezer. So important. But yeah, the freezer is awesome, and it's a bonus later on. So don't forget that. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. I think we have covered everything that I wanted to cover. Please do ask questions if you have any. I might answer them. Other CSA members might answer them. This is a great place to share ideas. I will say that tomorrow is all about lunches, so we're going to be using this and other things in your greens for lunch. And I hope you guys will continue to follow the Greens Challenge. Don't forget to put a photograph up there of something you're making with your greens this week, in the next 6 days before Monday. And don't forget to put that hashtag Greens Challenge. And it's really great to have you guys as CSI members. Thanks for joining me at the River Road Farmstead, and I will see you soon. I'm going to sneak off camera and turn it off.